Do you notice how the light rows on the perimeters are lower than in the middle? And matter of fact, the middle row is the highest. Do you notice that?
Yeah, I did. I picked up on that right away. What was your thinking on that?
Yeah, so I designed everything with a light meter. So what happens with your row on the perimeter, it doesn't have the advantage to be joining with the other rows, right? It just has light from the second row joining in with the perimeter row. So that the perimeter row is disadvantaged. So I lower it a little bit closer to the plants to make up for that. Another thing that I do, if you look at the bottom of the row, the very last light on each row, I drop it down too. Because think of that corner, for example, the very corner is very disadvantaged, right there. So I drop it down as much as I need to be as close PPFD wise as I can to the rest of the canopy. So I don't want like hot spots of lights. And
are you running all of your lights at 100%?
Right now, yeah. Right now, I'm really, really trying to push them. I like to ramp up intensity as I go deeper in flower. But this grow, man, I just like the first 2 days of flower, I still go easy because I don't want to shock them from veg to flower. So in veg, I like to run maybe like 300 ppfds. I don't like to go too intense. I find it stresses them. So yeah, like for the first 2 days, I just pushed them maybe like 500 ppfd. And then right now they're at 800. You see, that's my first light right there. And it's about maybe give or take 5-6 inches lower than the next one. So that's really done with a light meter. It's not just guessing and shit.
You're state of the art, my friend. That is for sure. This is amazing.
Thanks, another thing that I really like to do is, you don't really notice it in the canopy right now because it all evens out. But across my perimeter, I pick my strongest, tallest plants. And if I top everything twice, like usually I top everything twice, I just top them once. And I really try to encourage them to be bigger than the rest of the plants. And that comes from my basement days when you're just running one light and you try to create a bowl around that light to really maximize what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because again, if you go around a light, say an HBS, which I used in my basement with a light meter, you really notice that the peak intensity isn't just, a horizon. It's not just flat. It really goes into a bowl. So I kind of apply the same technique with a big canopy like this. Because again, even though I drop my lights at the perimeter to make up for less intensity, it is still a little bit less intense. And if those plants at the perimeter ever get dominated by plants that are more in the middle, then you really see a drop in your perimeters. So if I start off with plants that are a couple inches taller on the perimeter, since they're a little bit disadvantaged with a little bit less light, they usually end up being completely level instead of dropping down.
So do you bowl them in veg and then you let them go crazy in flower and even back out?
Yeah, like basically in veg, you really see like the bowl effect in my canopy. Okay, and when I flip them in flower, since the taller ones pretty much have the same light intensity as the more middle ones, since they have just one row of light blaring on them. Long story short, it just turns out even. But if I wouldn't do that, in my experience, you would see the perimeters go lower, and you would those plants on the perimeter, you would lose a lot of yield. And by a lot, I'm not talking about tremendous amounts, but hey, if I can pull 2 kilos more out of this room using those little tricks, well, 5 grows a year, 2 kilos, 10 kilos a year. Thank you very much. I'll take it.
Right.
And I seriously think that I'm achieving that.
That is very impressive what you've come up with so far and on scale like this too. This is
it comes straight from basement growing, but that right there, I wanted to show that. So the way that I built those PVC pipes to hold the trellis, my tables are 4 feet wide, but like I said, I made my grassroots beds custom made a little bit more narrow. So you can see in between the beds, you've got like six inches, right? So if I had those PVC pipes just going straight up, instead of having a 4 foot wide canopy, which standard trellis comes 4 foot wide, I'd be losing on at least a square of trellis. So I wouldn't have as wide of a canopy on each bench. So this way, the way that I install those PVC pipes, it gives me a couple of inches on both sides, so I can get my full 4 foot wide trellis.
So do those swing out?
Yeah, they swing out, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Too cool. I when Ken first put it up, I'm like, what is this?
You see it swing out right there? Yeah. I put like 290s. It took me so much cutting PVC pipe time to do this. It was insane.
But look at how well it works. So
Oh, yeah.
basically, when you open them up, it tightens up the trellis a little bit too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just like the bed is like 4 foot wide minus I think 5 inches. So this way I'm gaining my 5 inches.
Beautiful.
Does that make sense?
Yes, spot on.
Yeah. So you can see I just chopped and dropped yesterday, so it's decomposing really fast. That's one of those pipes that goes right to the bottom, which was a great idea from you. I think I misinterpreted what it's for. You know, this is it's worth having if you're in a tent and you don't have your setup like me where your plastic tray goes further and you can see the water. So you have a little technique with a little floater that you see it go up and down, and you can tell how much water is in your e-horizon. I took that idea, and my idea was to water in that cylinder and water straight into the e-horizon. But I mean, with benches that are perfectly level, I just have to water right at the end of that tray, and it perfectly spreads throughout the whole tray, the whole bed. So yeah, it's kind of useless.
Well, I don't think it's useless. But you know what? This brings up a point. When we were all together at Grow Up,